Every week it's something new. Like when we started off this journey, not the week, but every week is something new from the perspective of as my son grows, there's something new that he is developing every week. So today, I think that's my hair. It's in the way. Anyways, but what I wanted to say is every week my son is developing something new, and today's Monday and we're like still going or navigating through something new from week 7. So he has longer wait times, and after he fed he wanted to play, so we did playtime, tummy time, and then I put him to sleep. But when I put him down, he woke up, and then I took him back to chest time. So we've been at it. Not complaining, because this is precious time and I'm learning to savor it. So this will count as the official sound check, and then I'll start our video off. Every time he moves, I worry that he's gonna wake up. Let me fix. Okay, let me fix his blanket. So, for that reason, today's video is going to be a bit different, but I am going to put the reflective question or the reflection questions for us on each of the clips as I go along. But today's focus, I want for us to reflect on chapter 4 to chapter 8. I'll be reading out the summaries for each of the chapters so that we're also learning as we are reflecting as well. So as I read through the summary and then share my thoughts, I'm going to put the clip outs for the reflective question and the call to action for the chapter that I'll be reading. So yeah, let's jump into the intro. So hi there and welcome to my YouTube channel. The name is Gorata.Selaledi. Ever so excited to be here yet again on a beautiful Monday afternoon, and we are losing daylight, I will say, because today we had a longer playtime both in the morning and in the afternoon, and I'm praying that my little boy will be kind to mommy and stay asleep until I'm done recording today's video. So welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to the family. Please do click on the subscription button and the notification bell so that you're notified when new videos come out. New videos every Sunday, Monday and Friday. And I am a faith-based content creator more than anything, but I also create content around productivity and purpose. And if you are a returning subscriber, hi, welcome back. I know you can tell that there's something different. I figured it's a new month, so why not pull out a new wig? So this has been me. And also I've decided on my hairstyle for December, so I'm going to be playing with my wigs until I can't, because I'm going to have my full looks for the whole year up to October next year, so that we grow out my hair. But yeah, welcome to today's video. We are continuing on our journey where we started in terms of reflecting on Think and Grow Rich. This is the book that we're reflecting on, and you may be wondering, why is this girl whispering? I am recording in my nursery and my son is sleeping not so far away from me, and he's going through a growth spurt right now, and I do not want to wake him. Not at all. But welcome. Today we are going to be reflecting on chapter 4 to chapter 8, and as already outlined, I'm going to be taking us through the summaries for each of these chapters, so that if maybe you haven't arrived, you can actually come on here to get a sneak preview of chapters 4 to 8. to 8, right? So let's get into it. I'm gonna create 4 separate clips for this so that I know where to put the screenshots. Yes. I will be honest and say that Think and Grow Rich is not a book that you're supposed to read like a novel. You're supposed to use it as a workbook more than anything, and they say this at the beginning of the book. So in as much as we are, running through it, I'd want to challenge you to come back to it. Every time you have a new goal, I'd want you to go through the book, skim through the chapters. And what I've noticed for me is for each chapter that I go through, I get motivated to unearth some of the goals that have been sleeping. He's moving around. He just did an air frill. Anyways, let's get into this video before my boy wakes up for real this time. So I am going to combine chapter 4 and chapter 5 summaries on this one clip, and then I'll do what's that? Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'll do 4 and 5 and then 6, 7, 8 on the other clip, right? So chapter 4 was on autosuggestion, and I'm just going to read this in your hearing just so that we're learning together. Autosuggestion, the power of speaking to your subconscious. Autosuggestion is the bridge between your conscious thoughts and your subconscious mind, the mechanism by which you program your inner world. Hale teaches that the subconscious can not distinguish between the truth and falsehood. It accepts whatever you feed it repeatedly with emotion. An emphasis on with emotion. Through affirmation, repetition, and visualization, we impress our desires on the subconscious until belief becomes automatic. Words charged with feeling transform into faith, and faith translates into action. Hill warns that negative self-talk works just as powerfully. Every word shapes our reality. In practice, autosuggestion invites you to guard your inner dialogue like sacred ground by declaring life-giving truths, focusing on what you desire, not what you fear, and visualizing success with gratitude. You turn thought into habit and habit into manifestation. This chapter teaches us to become what we consistently tell ourselves we are. And a quote from chapter 4 that we can take away, or that I want to share with you today. This wig is so crusty. I literally just pulled it out of the packet that I put it in and combed it out, and I don't have my iron detour. The quote says, "Any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought." Close quote. So in thinking about autosuggestion, I think the key thing that I'm picking from it is faith. And given my own personal faith journey and what the Bible says about faith, I believe that in autosuggestion, it's really covenanting or building a covenant around what it is God has inspired into your heart, right? And covenant is agreement, just to say day in, day out, we're pressing into this particular thing. So I want to challenge you to reflect on how often you actually press into the thing that you'd want to accomplish, right? And is it something that you believe you're putting in enough time in terms of repetition, visualization, and just affirming that particular thing that which you'd want to accomplish? And if not, why is that? I heard someone or something, I think I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks on YouTube where it was saying that sometimes we're also fearful of success. So maybe you haven't started because you're scared of what success looks like. And for me, I think I'm still processing that statement to say, how can you be scared of success, But maybe you're that person who is terrified of getting to the finish line. And I want to challenge you to really think it through, to say maybe that's what has been limiting you to reaching to a point where you're actually affirming and believing in the thing that you're trying to accomplish. So that was the chapter on autosuggestion. So chapter 5 is on specialized knowledge, turning learning into leverage. So I'm going to read it in your hearing. Just take a sip of my water. This is actually going to be a very long video if I'm not careful. But chapter 5, reading in your hearing, says, Hill differentiates between general knowledge, which fills the mind but yields little, and specialized knowledge, which is applied strategically towards a definite purpose. Success doesn't come from knowing everything, but from knowing something deeply and applying it intelligently. This chapter is a call to transform knowledge into organized power. Specialized knowledge grows through experience, association, and deliberate learning. The wise person gathers a mastermind of experts and continuously sharpens skill in their chosen field. For the modern reader, this means focusing not on endless consumption, but purposeful mastery. Your growth accelerates when you align what you know with who you're becoming, using learning as a tool for service, not validation. And something that for me, reflecting on specialized knowledge that I am going to be doing as a step towards the goal that I have for myself, for my company, is, I don't know what word I should use, because when the reflection question for chapter 5 actually floored me. It says, am I confusing more learning with avoiding action? Because I am going to be furthering my studies so that I learn in new areas that will improve my coaching. But then a part of me is like, what if I'm using that as a crutch to actually taking action? But I am going to allow myself to take the first step. And what that looks like for me in 2026 is launching my very first course, which is the Own Up and Show Up program that I had been doing for the past 5 years, and putting it on Udemy for sale. So watch this space. So the quote for chapter 5 that I want to share is, knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed. So what do you know? Experience-wise, what are you passionate about? What is that one thing that you could teach, or people could pay you to teach them to do, right? We're living in an age where you don't necessarily only have to have one line of income, and I want to encourage you to really think it through. Like, what is that one thing for you, right? For me personally, it is teaching. I remember saying to my dad that when I grew up, I wanted to become a teacher, and he said, you're not going to make any money in that line. And I decided to go into finance instead. I mean, wise man. But it's something that I knew subconsciously that I was passionate about, and I love how it's coming to life through my YouTube, through my coaching company. So what is it for you? What is that one thing that you would do for free? Because I remember even coaching for me, I did for a while for free, but yet still I had so much joy doing it. So what is it for you? What is it? I'm going to continue and just go through all the chapters. I know I wanted to separate the clips, but we're losing daylight. So chapter 6 is on imagination, and it is the workshop of the mind. Imagination, right? And I remember sharing on my video yesterday how sometimes when I pray, I imagine myself being carried into the courts of heaven, right? Like literally in heaven as I'm praying, right? But imagination in attaining that one thing that you want, right? So Hill calls imagination the workshop where desire comes from. Every invention, enterprise, and transformation begins first as a thought image. He identifies two kinds of imagination: synthetic imagination, which is rearranging old ideas into new combinations; creative imagination, the channel through which inspiration, intuition, and divine ideas flow. Imagination is the meeting point of faith and creation, where we partner with God to shape new realities. The clearer the picture we hold in mind, the faster the subconscious works to attract matching circumstances. Hill emphasizes that imagination, like a muscle, strengthens with use. We must nurture it through stillness, curiosity, and visioning. When you imagine vividly, you send instructions to the universe, for me in this case to God, and to your subconscious to begin aligning the unseen with the seen. And the quote from chapter 6 that I'd want to share is, "Man's only limitation lies in the development and use of his imagination." Honestly, earlier today when I was rocking my son to sleep, I imagined myself sitting here and recording this episode because I couldn't imagine how we were going to get here, because I felt like he was struggling to go to sleep and was going to be up the whole day. But finally he went to sleep. He's sleeping now, and as much as he's fidgeting, he's still asleep. And I imagine myself recording this episode because I really do want to record it and put it out and build a consistency for my channel, for my existing subscribers, and those that are coming onto the platform and meeting me for the first time. And what I realized, and something that was impressed in my heart, is me creating content and recording these videos. Sorry about that. Recording these videos is not all lost in terms of just doing it, because it is preparing me for when I now finally create my online courses, when I finally create content for these courses and put them out on Udemy, in terms of editing, in terms of articulation, in terms of preparation, etc. So moving on to chapter 7. Chapter 7 is on organized planning. I'm just going to take a sip of the water. Chapter 7 is on organized planning, from vision to strategy. And this was my favorite because when I was coaching many years ago, when I was coaching my clients, what I'd usually direct them to is planning out their weeks, right? I'm not a grand plan kind of girl, like resolution type of girl. I like taking things week by week, right, in terms of planning. So I really like this chapter. But reading in your hearing, chapter 7 summary. This chapter is the turning point where thought transforms into action. Hill insists that no plan is perfect, but success belongs to those who keep planning until they win. He outlines the necessity of creating definite, my favorite word is specific, written plans backed by persistence and faith. The secret in collaboration, the mastermind principle. You can't achieve great success alone. Surround yourself with people who complement your strengths, share your vision, and challenge you towards excellence. Hill also reminds us that temporary defeat is not failure, it's feedback. The ability to adapt, learn, and rebuild stronger is the true measure of success. Organized planning, therefore, is not rigidity but rhythm, the disciplined dance between vision and flexibility. And the quote for organized planning that I want to share says, "The most intelligent man living cannot succeed in accumulating money nor in any other undertaking without plans which are practical and workable." Something that I was thinking about as I was reading this summary was how when I started my business, it just started as an idea, right? But as and when I put things out, because I had time when I was building my brand, I put out my values, I put out my vision, my mission. I did different series where I interviewed people. It kept transforming, and I realized even during that time, it was me learning to figure out where we're going in terms of my plan for my business in terms of coaching. Positioning happened very well. People knew who I was. But I realized in planning and not executing the coaching aspect that I was actually using the series that I built, like interviewing people, as an excuse. So one time someone asked me, like, "Sorry, Age, I get it. Like, these are your values, but what do you do? Like, what are your services?" And I was stumped. Right? And that challenged me to actually plan out how I'm actually going to start coaching, and hence my first program, Own Up and Show Up, was born. So moving on to the very last chapter, which is chapter 8. And I went all the way to chapter 8 because I realized that there's 15 chapters, so we might have to compress it before we get to the end, right? So chapter 8 is on decision, deciding, the power of deciding what it is you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it. He is still sleeping though, I will say. So reading chapter 8 summary in your hearing very quickly before he wakes up. On decision, right? The mastery of procrastination. Hale begins this chapter with one of his sharpest truths. People who fail to accumulate riches without exception have the habit of reaching decisions slowly, if at all, and of changing these decisions quickly and often. This chapter calls us to practice decisiveness, the spiritual discipline of trust in one's conviction. Indecision breeds doubt, doubt breeds fear, and fear paralyzes potential. Hale observed that every successful person he studied possessed the courage to make clear decisions and to stand by them by faith, even when the world disagreed. Decision is not arrogance, it's alignment. When you're connected to your purpose, decisions flow naturally because your why is strong. True decision also involves the quiet power to say no to distractions, people-pleasing, and fear. Faith-based living requires the same, trusting that when God gives you a vision, He's already placed the capacity within you to see it through. And the quote from chapter 8 that I want to share is, "Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want and generally get it." So what do you want? Not a lot of people are able to answer that question. And that brings us to the end of the 4 chapters that I wanted to share today. And I will put the reflective questions and the call to actions for the different chapters on this clip. So let's get into my closing video and check in. So coming to the close of today's video, I just want to say, if you are new here, this is also part of my virtual book club called Read, reflect, and rise. And I will include in the description box a link for you to register to the book club, the virtual book club, so that you are able to join us every week and read along with us. I'm hoping that as the community grows, as my subscribers grow, we will have a number of people who will be part of our virtual book club. And if you have already registered, excuse me, thank you so much for registering. Please do leave in the comments what chapter you're currently in. I'm currently a bit behind because this past week was a bit up in the air for me. But what I am going to do is catching up. And also another thing, given that it is a new month, as part of my physical book club, we are going to be reading Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and I'm excited for it because it's fiction and not a self-help style book, so I'm looking forward to it. I read fiction like I'm watching Netflix, so this is what I'm going to be watching this week, this month. So yeah, just want to take this time to thank you for watching this video to the very end. Granted that this girlie was whispering through it, but we made it to the end. I will see you next week, where we are going to be going through chapters 9, 10, 11, I think 3, 9, 10, 11, and then the last week we'll do 12, 13, 14, and 15, because we did 4 chapters today. So that next week we go through the reflection together, with me reading out the questions yet again. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. I pray that may God's favor locate you, and may His grace sustain you as you live out this new week. It's goodbye for me.